Good morning, guys. Bitcoin is wicking that support, wicking that order block, that Baroque structure. So we're going to go over what this means for Bitcoin, what this means for the crypto market in today's episode. Stay tuned. And if you guys are unfamiliar with the Crypto Charts Daily Report, we do technical analysis on the top 3 coins as well as 15 plus altcoins. I have them listed in the description below. And we're not like every other crypto YouTube channel here. You don't have to wait 2 weeks to see analysis on your favorite coin. We do daily uploads here, and these daily reports cover a lot of the altcoins. So chances are we cover one or more of the coins you hold. So drop a like, subscribe, and turn the notifications on. Let's get right into it. As we can see, the market cap up slightly, 3%. Well, I guess 3% isn't slightly. We were down about 2% yesterday, so small recovery here, pretty good. But again, we want to see the market cap get back above those $4 trillion price levels, and we might have closed, well, I think we did close the week below that $4 trillion resistance. So we'll check the market cap out today as well. CMC 20 up 3%. Fear and greed sitting in a fearful state. Who could have guessed that? Altcoin season obviously slipped heavy to Bitcoin dominance over this past dip. And the crypto RSI is getting bought up again, so that's a good sign. But of course, none of that matters without the technical analysis aligning perfectly, because technical analysis runs the charts. Let's get right into it. All right, guys, starting off the day with the total crypto market cap, we did say we'd get resistance at that $4 trillion price level, and we'd come back down and test this $4.5 trillion market cap. We did go down and test that perfectly, and now I'm going to be looking for resistance at about 3.8 trillion. Hopefully we could break past it and go break these highs of 4.2 trillion. But if we continue to see resistance, just look for the continued test of this $3.5 trillion market cap. If we end up closing below this type of support and resistance level here, we'll head back down to this $2.5 trillion market cap. But again, either look for strength over the next coming week to break these highs, the all-time highs of this market cap here, or just get rejected out of this order block created at 3.1 trillion. All right, guys, since it is Monday, we are going to look at the weekly time frames here. This order block on Bitcoin is holding perfect equal lows here on this weekly order block that broke the structure here, tapping into our daily order block as well. But we did say if we wick this order block over the next coming days and weeks, we'll look for a push to all-time highs. If we end up disrespecting closing below this though, we'll look for higher time frame support. But let's jump down onto the daily time frame so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And on this daily time frame, you could see how we are wicking, just like we said on Friday's episode. If price wicks this order block, we need a break of this $115,000, about $115,800 actually. Break this high to then go test this order block and test all-time highs here. If we end up getting rejected though at this $115,000 resistance, we'll then go down and test this order block again and probably break these lows of 103. If we could break below this order block and price looks something like this though, we'll head down to those higher time frame supports we talked about Friday. So guys, just cleaning this up, look for the break of this, let's just call it 116 high over the next few days, to then go push to all-time highs. Or if we get rejected here, just look for the break of these lows of 103 and the break of this order block at 99,000. Ethereum, same thing. We are breaking structures to the downside, but coming into that higher time frame support now, and we did test that support. So just look for the break of these $4,300 highs to then go push to all-time highs on Ethereum here. If we can't break that high, if we end up getting wicked and rejected over the next few days here, look for price to then go test that support again. If we end up closing above these $4,300 highs over the next few days though, again, just look for the push to all-time highs. XRP here, I think it's important to talk about this weekly candle close because we did close below that now resistance at $2.50, and we already tested it at the start of this week here. And we will look for price now to come down and push past these equal lows of $2.40 and perhaps test that higher time frame support again at $2.20. This last week did test that candle again, filled some of that wick, or test that support. So if this week's candle, we need this week's candle to close back above that resistance of 250 to flip its support, and we'll look for that break and retest over the next week here to then go push up to higher time frame resistance. And on the daily chart, you could see exactly what I mean here, closing below that $2.50 resistance. We tried to break above it again, close below it, and it became resistance. We got rejected down into that $2.20 support again, and now we're bouncing in between the support and resistance. So guys, if we close above that $2.50 resistance here, it becomes support, and we'll look for our break and retest to then catch this move up to $2.83 again and test that higher time frame resistance. Jumping down onto the altcoins here, we can see Binance Coin still respecting that support here. We did end up getting wicked. We even liquidated that equal low this past daily candle. So we will just look for the daily candles to continue closing bullish for a push up to those highs. If we close below though this low here of $1,074, price will then go break the lows, and we'll look for a break of this structure and a break of this support. Solana, on the weekly chart here, we could see perfect equal lows right at that support of 187. So we will just look for strength. If we then, though, over the next few weeks close bearish below the support, it will flip resistance, and we will continue to push lower to higher time frame support. And I can't really say on this weekly chart what highs we would need to close above to see a push up. So let's jump down onto the daily time frames. And on the daily time frames, we could see how we are respecting kind of the support here. And if we do end up closing above this high of 211, we'll look for the test of this order block. Price could get rejected out of the structure here. We see some minor imbalance. But again, look for the break of these highs of about 211 to then go push to all-time highs. If we get rejected out of this order block or something here, we'll just look for the continued test of this support. If we end up closing below the support, obviously it flips resistance, and we'll look for the push to higher time frame support. Cardano obviously closing well below support there on these daily time frames, actually testing already higher time frame support down here at 58 to 60 cents here. So we will need a break of these highs of about 73 cents to then go test this higher time frame resistance. If we end up getting rejected at these highs or at this order block here of about 69 cents, we'll just look for the break of those lows and the continued test of this higher time frame support. Chainlink, today's candle is very important on Chainlink because we could perhaps close back above this resistance, flipping its support, and we could look for price to then go test this higher time frame order block or test highs here. And over the next few days, just look for the continued test of this $17 support question mark. And obviously, if we end up closing below it, it'll flip resistance and we'll push to higher time frame support. But again, guys, just look for the close above this high of $20. Stellar Lumens, we need a break above these 35-cent highs to then go test this higher time frame resistance back at 40 cents. If we end up getting rejected or close below these lows of 30 cents on the day, we'll look for this higher time frame support at 28 cents to continue to be tested. Avalanche, unfortunately, closing below that support, so we are flipping at resistance, and now we'll just look for the rejection of those $21 resistance levels, or that $21 resistance level. If we could close back above it, we'll look for the break and retest, and we need to close above those $23 highs to then go push and test higher time frame resistance. If you see rejection at $21 though, just look for the push down to higher time frame support. Hydra just downtrending. We could get a break of this 20-cent high to then go look for the test of that higher time frame resistance. If we get rejected though, because we are just continuing to downtrend, we'll look for the break of these lows of 16 cents today to then go test that 13-cent support again. Litecoin closing well below resistance, so we'll just look for the test of that resistance again, and then the test of this higher time frame support down there at 68 cents. Polkadot again getting rejected here, so we will just need a break of these highs of $3.44 to then go push back into that resistance. If we just continue to downtrend here, look for the break of these $2.70 lows to then go test higher time frame support. Uniswap closing below that resistance, so we will just look for the test of that $6.63 zone to then get rejected and break past these lows of $5. If we close above, just look for the break and retest, and we'll test that $7 resistance. ONDO Finance just testing that 66-cent support, just like we said. If we finally get the break of those 86-cent lows, we got the break, tested support, and now we'll just look for the break of these 85-cent highs here to then go test that dollar resistance again. Polygon testing lows, and we'll just look for the break of those 21-cent highs to then go test that higher time frame resistance. Flare breaking structure to the downside, testing that higher time frame support, and now we'll look for the break of those 2-cent highs to then go make a run for highs here. If we close below this resistance though, or this support, excuse me, it will flip resistance and we'll look for the push lower. Algorand obviously getting rejected off of resistance here and testing higher time frame support. So we are just trading in between this higher time frame support and resistance, and we'll look for a push obviously above these 21-cent highs and a break and retest of that 22-cent price level. If price continues to just downtrend, look for the continued test of this 16-cent support. Quant testing that $80 support just like we said, and we'll look for the break of $94 to then go test that higher time frame resistance up there at $117. IOTA, we just need the break of those 16-cent highs to then go test this higher time frame resistance, and we'll look for those highs of 25 cents. But if we get rejected, just look for the break of these lows of about 12 cents to then go fill some of this wick and push down to higher time frame support if there is any. XDC, just like we said, looking for price to come fill some imbalance, test that now resistance at 6 cents. And if price gets rejected at the 6-cent resistance, just look for a break of then these 5-cent lows. If we end up closing back above that resistance, it will flip support and we'll look for the run to 10 cents. Dogecoin, as you can see, it went down, tested that order block that broke the structure here, went up, retested resistance, and we closed below that resistance, but we respected those equal lows printed here. So we will just look for price to come up, close above this resistance at 20 cents, flip its support and break these 21-cent highs to then go test higher time frame resistance. If we end up getting wick though and closing below this resistance at 20 cents here, we'll look for the break of these lows and price to continue testing this higher time frame order block. Shiba Inu sweeping the lows, coming up, testing resistance. So now we will just look for a break of that high there and a break of this resistance, flip support, and we'll look for our break and retest to then go push to these highs. If we end up getting wicked and rejected again at this resistance though, we'll just look for the break of those lows. PEPE, same thing here, sweeping lows, but we did close below that resistance. And if we get rejected at that resistance, we'll push down back into those lows, back into that support. And if we break above this resistance, it will flip support and we'll look for our break and retest. If price could close above these highs here, it would be a good sign that we'll go push up into that higher time frame resistance. Anyway, guys, that concludes Monday's episode of the Daily Report. The caffeine did not help me this morning. I felt like I could not talk, so I apologize for that. I also apologize for the mic cutting in and out. I have one more thing I tried today, and if it didn't work, we'll just have to go back to the good old headphones, or I'll have to buy a new mic. But anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications on if you made it this far. And I'll see you for Wednesday's report. Peace out.